to the show, everybody. I've got a good friend of mine, Chris Rall here. How are you today, sir?
Good to see you, Jay.
Likewise, man. Likewise. So, how things going? Summer good to you and everything?
Summer was great. It's always too short. As a teacher, we are blessed with a long vacation, and it's a special time with family and just time to reset and reflect and get ready for the fall. But we're back into school. I'm in a new setting now, so I'm adjusting.
Okay. Well, yeah, jumping back to a second here. Chris here is a musician, like myself, and he's in one of those rarefied positions where he's still able to do it and still get paid to do it, even if it's on the side. So let's talk a little bit about your musical background here, Mr. Rall.
Okay. I grew up in a musical home, and my mother had a stack of vinyl records that she would play all the time. And so very early, even as a kid, I was exposed to all different kinds of music, like the Beatles and Ray Charles and all different kinds of artists. And so I had an ear for it, and I would plunk out melodies on the piano along with the records that my mom was playing. And that was when I was 3 or 4 years old. So she gave me piano lessons when I was 5. And then I did 10 years of piano lessons, learning classical music. Went to high school and did orchestra and choir and the musicals. And that went to seeing somebody play in a band and wanting to play guitar and be in a band. So when I graduated from high school, I started playing acoustic guitar and started playing out about when I was 19. And I've been playing ever since. So it's been over 30 years now that I've been able to play.
Wow, okay. I'm going to tell you, buddy, Chris has a remarkable ear, too. I mean, this guy, he can just pick up the guitar and it's like, can you sing this? Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, and just remarkable ear, remarkable memory to even remember as many song lyrics as you do. And so Chris and I got a chance to meet when I was working at the Electric Palm down in Woodbridge. And, he would come in on Sundays sometimes and do a 3-hour set. Like other times he would come in with his band for fundraisers. You still doing any of the fundraising stuff that you were doing back then?
We do. Obviously, we had to take a little bit of a break during COVID the past few years, but we're talking about starting up our Bands for Bucks again this fall. And the drummer in our cover band years ago lost his aunt to cancer and specifically breast cancer. Okay. So I think we did about 15 years of raising money. We raised over $100,000 for raising breast cancer awareness and giving it directly to one of their charities. And so every year we have different kinds of artists and people that perform. And it's just a chance for us to get back to the folks that we've lost and try to find, a solution to a problem that we really don't, we're struggling to solve. So.
Okay. You had a question about the name on the shirt here, you were saying?
Yeah. I was just curious where that comes from. Is that like an ancestral name or where does that come from?
Okay, so the story behind this is, how back during the 70s, it was trendy for black parents to give their kids African names. Okay. So my parents actually met at a Black Panther meeting way back in the early 70s after my father came back from Vietnam. So anyway, I got Jaja Abayomi, and then my sister got Ayana Tamar, and then you get to about the mid to late 70s, my parents were born again Christians, so you get Jonathan David and Jason Nathaniel, nice Greek Christian names. That's why. So, but when I was younger, man, of course, kids can be kind of cruel sometimes, and so here it is. I've got an odd name going to a predominantly white prep school in Philadelphia. And so, of course, I got the jock who stole drugs, the jock strap drugs, for my first name. And then when they found out my middle name, it was like, oh, Jaja Macaroni, like all sorts of crazy stuff. So, for years, I was actually embarrassed of, my name. But, as I got older, I began to embrace it, then understanding the meaning of, both my first and middle name was actually got good meaning. So my first name, Jaja, means ruler of people. I'm sorry, means God's gift. And then my middle name, Abayomi, means ruler of people. So, that's, that's the genesis of my name. And it was actually my brother, Jason, who he's a hip hop artist, out there singing some of his stuff one of these times. Check out his site and everything, Raw Poetic. And he was the one that actually helped me come up with the name, Mr. Abayomi says, when I was trying to find out, name for my YouTube channel. So we went with it, and I've been running it ever since.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
That's an important part of you as a person. And it's funny how you come in a circle over the course of your life to things that you thought that you didn't like or that you were being
Right.
messed with, come to have a lot of value, you know, and it's not just sentimental. I mean, I had a feeling that was something ancestral because that's something that runs deep in the African American community that I'm still familiarizing myself with because I was adopted by a white Catholic family. Right. So, and you know, that's something that we could expand on. I know that we'll probably talk again at some point, but
sure, absolutely.
For me, you know, that was a unique part of, you know, finding my biological father, having contact with him, who was a child of sharecroppers in Mississippi, and they moved north to Michigan during the basically fleeing the South, you know, during right after World War II to find work. So there's a lot of depth to that story, but you know, having grown up in a white Catholic family and being mixed race, you know, being black and white, it was a unique situation because people, you know, kids didn't understand when your parents showed up somewhere. They looked at you, they would look at parents and they'd be like, "What's going on?" You know,
right?
Some kids mess with it, but for the most part, because of our neighborhood, it was very diverse to begin with. So most of the kids didn't care, but there was always somebody in the crowd that was pointing something out. That was, anytime you're different, it doesn't matter. I mean, as a teacher, I see that all the time. Kids are just, they can be cruel, you know, and they'll find something and they'll pick at it. And it's a test, you know? And so it's interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, definitely. So,
you know,
I know that
how you come to accept the things that you sometimes maybe wanted to avoid.
Right.
So that's a great game. I like it.
Thanks. So, so I know there are certain things that you aren't able to talk about in terms of working for the public school system, but what are some of the things that you can talk about when it comes to challenges being a school teacher, particularly through COVID and now coming up post-COVID?
Well, I think, you know, generally speaking, it was a challenge. I mean, we do all of our work in person, and I think it's the most effective way is in-person instruction. I don't obviously have a lot of thoughts about education and where it's at and where it needs to go. But I think overall, we've seen it change through the years. The model has changed from a kind of just a teacher telling you everything you need to know to making it more engaging and interactive with the kids. So our instructional focus is on small groups and like introducing ideas and letting kids work on their own and find their own projects and things like that to help show that they understand the concepts that we're working with. I as an English teacher, that's important because we explore fiction and nonfiction and try to find ideas behind the things that we read. So it's been a challenge in COVID because we couldn't do it in person. So when you don't have people in front of you, I could turn this screen off right now and just pretend to listen to you and not really participate. So I think that was the biggest challenge, is just having that in-person opportunity to build relationships and communicate face to face.
Right. Yeah, I've got I did an episode with a friend of mine who teaches for Fairfax County, and we did an episode with her, even though she wanted her face blocked out, you know, back during COVID. And, you know, she had definitely went into some of the challenges that, you know, she had as a school teacher, you know, during COVID. And then my brother, same brother who I was telling you about, who's also a musician, he's a teacher now as well. And so, you know, during COVID, he was working for Arlington County and switched to, you know, Fairfax County. So, you know, he's got a series of challenges that like he deals with, but he's in the area of Fairfax now where it's pretty diverse. So for him, it's I guess kind of cool for, you know, these brown kids, so kids, you know, to have a teacher that looks like them and can relate to them in terms of culturally and you know, things like that, you know, versus maybe somebody from somewhere else who may not quite understand, you know, the challenges that, you know, they may have.
Absolutely. And